Hello. 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 Namaskar. Very good morning and welcome to the first International Extension Congress 2018 at ICAR Central Institute for Women in Agriculture, being organized by Odisha Society of Extension Education Bhubaneswar. Before you proceed, just one request. Since all of us have mobile phones, may I request everybody to either put their phones on silent mode or reduce the volume to the extent that that is non-interfering the proceedings of the sessions. Dear friends, we'll start with our opening session, and in this session we have special lecture by Dr. P. Das, former DDG Agriculture Extension ICR. Now may I invite the dignitaries on dais. I would request respected Dr. P. Das, Dr. Andher Singh, ADG Extension, Dr. C. Satpathy, President, Odisha Society of Extension Education, Dr. S.K. Srivastav, Chairperson, Local Organizing Committee and Director, ICAR-CIWA, Dr. Himanshu Pathak, Co-Chairman, Local Organizing Committee and Director, ICAR-NRA Cuttack, Dr. S.K. Ambast, Co-Chairperson, Local Organizing Committee and Director, ICAR Indian Institute of Water Management, Bhubaneswar, and Dr. J.K. Sundar Ray, Co-Chairperson, Local Organizing Committee and Director, CIFA, to please come on the dais. Friends, it's a great occasion being attended by who's and who's of agriculture extension research in India. I am sure it's a very special learning platform for all of us, particularly the youngsters who are making their entry into the world of agriculture extension and research. I am to inform this house that tomorrow we have formal inaugural session, which will be graced by Secretary DARE and DG ICR and other top ranking policymakers and research managers. Today, in this session, we have a special lecture by Dr. P. Das, former DDG Agriculture Extension. Now, I request Dr. C. Satpathy, President, Odisha Society of Extension Education, please deliver the welcome address.
Dear delegates, good afternoon everybody. We are very happy that personalities like Dr. P. Das, Pathak, Sundaraya, and also Ranjit Singh, and our Ambassador Saab, and our Srivastav are present here with participants from all over the country have assembled here. So I welcome you all to this session because extension education is the voice of voiceless. Those people who have contributed to strengthen the extension system, I think I appreciate them. Also, I welcome all these people to these occasions. So, sir, about to the delegates, there may be some problem here and there, but I do request you to kindly accommodate and participate in the functions as actively as possible. About Dr. P. Das, I will tell two, three words. Sir, I have worked under you. You have scolded me many times, but also you have appreciated my work. I have seen you are the person who initiated this institute today where we are working, and I was all along with him. So when the work started, the ITK project of India, ICR, which is a vast project, is one of the biggest project of the country. It is his idea, and he. So, Also in extension, the verification of he stayed in Similguda, Korapur district, and overnight he framed many projects, and I think one of them was verification of technology and its application. So the success project. But one thing that Dr. Das has inspired us from time to time. In many occasions, I worked with him. I got his inspirations, his interest, and wholehearted. Actually, he is devoted for the farmers. All his activities, all his plans, all his work, I have seen very closely that he devotes much more time for the welfare of the farmers. He has gone with me to the villages, to blocks, to see how the farmers are accepting technology, how the technology is being transferred. So, in view of this, his presence, sir, we are proud of you that you are present here and encourage people to go ahead with the extension. Your guidance, your presence, and your ideas will be our pathway to move ahead to take extension. So, this Society of Extension Education, which we have formed, you were also present in the first seminar in the beginning, but here also the society has grown. Now we have good number of memberships, and our people have also have done good work in extension work and various. So, only thing that, sir, I have a complaint against you, one complaint, that you could have shaped the Indian Society of External Education for which position is very bad, but under your leadership, it could have progressed much well. Sir, with this much, I welcome everybody, all dignitaries, all participants here to make the program very success and actively participate, and let us come out with some concrete suggestions which may go for the as input for policy making. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I think you have spoken quite a bit, few words about Dr. Pida, sir. But I have also few words to speak before inviting for the lecture. A widely acclaimed extension expert research manager, he has contributed immensely to the growth of ICR and the present structure of ICR that we see today. He was one of the longest serving DDGs from 1995 till end of 2008. Has been an ardent proponent of farmer-centric extension, and Dr. Pidas has always thought and looked beyond the traditional realms of agricultural extension and strived hard to make agricultural extension more relevant to changing times and demands of Indian agriculture. His wealth of knowledge and experience and expertise are a source of great strength and light for all of us. Few of us know that during tenure as DDG, I think a record number of KVKs, that in 368 KVKs were established during his tenure as DDG. And credit goes to him in many ways, that it is IVLP, Institutional Village Linked Program, that really aimed to integrate research with farmers' perspective and farmers' aspiration, that was conceived and implemented by Dr. P. Das as DDG. Sir, thank you very much for being here. I now invite you to please present the lecture, sir.
Okay. Okay, okay. Thank you. No, no, no. It's a very much honor to me. You know that I'm in extinct species. Long back, about a decade back, I am retired. I am now working in a corporate house offering consultancy to 21 countries, especially concentrating of Eastern Hemisphere and working in everything, right from fishery to animal husbandry to fertilizer factory to a phosphate mine to anything of that, and I am enjoying my time. Uh, uh, and I must admire the invitation extended to me. Dr. Satpathy told that I used to scold him, Dr. Kumar, now to taking all pain for organizing the host institution. This institution, I was telling while coming that this 52 acres of land was taken over that time when nobody after evening hours used to work here, because Kalinga studio was the only landmark of this place. Otherwise, by and large, it's a forest. And till in the record, probably this is the forest land, though that time not a single blade of grass used to grow. Especially, I am so happy to see the young professional. Extension can go up only through them. It is they who can steer the new direction for the agriculture extension. Before I start my speech, all that I would say, particularly during last 10 years of experience at global level, I could find what a tremendous powerful subject is that. And it is an entire responsibility on us how we can make the subject much more meaningful, much more powerful. And we can hold the flag at the global level, the power of the subject, that is extension, agriculture, be it agriculture extension, be it animal husbandry extension, home size extension, natural resource management. Today, the emerging subject like climate resilient agriculture, the key to the success of this agricultural extension. I will try to cover few of the areas given the time given to me, and I am sure by now time is already over. This scheduled time which was already given to me, so I would request the organizer to give me the time so that some of the things I can speak. Having said that, I welcome you to my small lecture, opening, sort of the kind of emerging areas of agricultural extension on which we need to give much more emphasis than what we have been doing. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay. See, my purpose was to cover the, I didn't go for a specific subject on that, but however, I wanted to cover entire emerging area. So the title is much more generalized and just in the line of what the organizer thought about. The next slide, please. See, have a look at that. You have a collar mic. Do you have a collar mic, please? Okay, have a look at that. The kind of perspective of Indian agriculture in our country. We have got 2.4% of world area and 2.3% of world land area, but 11% of world arable land. But above that, it is more than 1/4 of the world irrigated area. That is the kind of natural resources we have inherited. However, the country used to support 17.8% of world population. Think it over, what kind of tremendous pressure on agriculture in this country. And just think it over, in USA, the world best agriculturally developed countries, only 4.1% of total population of USA engaged in agriculture to support entire USA. Not only that, almost 1/4 of the world population are fed to different aids through US, food. 15% of world economic active population, but 1/5 of the world economically active population are in India. I just wanted to place where agriculture stand in this country in world perspective. Next slide, please. You could have a look at that, probably yesterday's newspaper. You will find that India is the 6th largest wealthy nations in one side. Another side, if we have a look at that, we have got GDP 2.43 trillion. In terms of purchase parity price, it is 9 trillion. Agriculture till today contributes 17% of India's GDP. 520 million out of 1313 million population in the country, 520 million people, they are engaged in agriculture and allied labor force. Export, we have got a very good balancing of the imports of agriculture and export from agriculture. We export approximately 278 billion and we import approximately 278 billion. It's a very good management, our particularly import and export of agriculture. Agriculture produces, contribute 7% of export of our country. But you will find that Indian agriculture is to support 8.3% per hectare against world, of 5.13%. 3% per hectare we are to support. The kind of efficiency we need to have in agriculture, you can imagine that and think it over. We have got 103 million farm families. They cultivate approximately 140 million hectares of 180 million holdings spread over 600,000 villages of more than 600 rural districts. It is just probably one of the unique countries in the world. With my experience of working in 21 countries, when I explain the kind of Indian agricultural scenario, it's an amazing for everybody how the country with such kind of meager resources could manage to have 260 million tons of food grain with peak period of buffer stock of 70 million tons. Next, please. Slides I wanted to say about the what kind of changing context of agricultural extension system formally started in 1952, 2nd October with the community development project. And in 1950s, we used to produce only 50 million tons of food grain. We were 50 crores, 500 million people. So have a look at that. Till today, when we started in 1952, our focus in agricultural extension is by and large on dissemination of information. And till now, any kind of agricultural development project, the role of extension is primarily on dissemination. But think it over, the kind of changes has taken place. We often say that those areas which are complex, diverse, and risk-prone agriculture, they are by and large devoid of any significant benefit of the kind of improvement in agriculture. Our focus was not much on the kind of emerging market opportunity. Our focus was only on increasing productivity. Now there was nothing wrong in that. Not that everything we have done wrong in this country. Many things we have done most wonderful. The time we were needed for increase the productivity, because many of the young people, you may not know that we were depending on the import of third-graded wheat from United States under PL 480, which the other countries used to buy for their animal feeding, particularly the countries like China, India, and Indonesia. Extension need to balance both on increasing farm household income and improving rural livelihoods. You know, the question of doubling the income, how feasible and all that, I'm not going for that. However, there need to be balance for increasing productivity and income. Increasing productivity does not necessarily mean that income will go up. Increasing productivity does not necessarily mean that it will address the issues of equity, that it will be address of sustainability, and it will address of profitability. These are the different dimensions of agriculture, not productivity alone per se. Next slide, please. Production, trade, and consumption environment for agriculture and agricultural products is growing more dynamic and in an unprecedented way due to energy cost, biofuels, climate change. You will find that for the last 3 years, not reflecting anybody, productivity continued to be high, but farmers' income continued to remain stagnant. In fact, kind of support price we give with that the cost of production or cost of produce rather comes to equal if we want to import from any international market. Therefore, in the present circumstances, export of our product itself not economically viable. So think it over of all those aspects are coming, and what kind of extension perspective can emerge out of that, one can imagine. The structure of agricultural technology generation has markedly changed. I know as a student of high school, I used to see the Japanese method of paddy cultivation, all that only line sowing. Urea was not invented those days, ammonium sulfate only. An innumerable number of complex technology, composite technology now has taken over than simple technology. All that I am trying to speak to you that the kind of diffusion adoption theory which was primarily based on simple technology probably no longer applicable in the context of complex technology, in the context of composite technology. It is not that the Michigan State farmer on which Rogers' theory was developed, and many of you, I am sure you know that Rogers himself disclaimed his theory in his third edition book, that his theory is applicable for the developed countries or for the progressive farmer of the developing countries, not for the farmers who are in the complex, diverse, and risk-bound environment. However, I am sorry to say that we are more faithful to Rogers than the Rogers himself to his theory. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. you will find if we have the global figure of extension personnel, then we will find 90% of those extension personnel are in the developing countries. I am talking from the FAO figure. Indian Community Development Program launched in 1952, 2nd October, it was analyzed that 50 major tasks was entrusted to one VLW. I mean, could you think it over the kind of expectation was? Often we abuse those fellows that they are good for nothing, but the thing is that they did a tremendous job under that circumstances. The kind of load was given to them. Ever increasing discrepancy between organizational goal and every extension strategy, every extension program worked out in this country, there are different kinds of goals and objectives, more often not matching with the earlier program, not a continuation of the kind of perspective, but something suddenly new thing is come, and I would say that our extension organization system somehow could keep pace with the new expectation from them. In spite of the fact person-to-person communication continue to be the most important from print media, including radio, television, played a kind of side role because they were not target specific. Those were all general. Take it or leave it. If you like, fine. If you don't like, also fine. No stake for anybody in that. One of the major tasks today of Indian agricultural extension system, how to link with the various multiplayer. We often speak about the pluralistic extension. It is easy to say than do. It's a very, very difficult job. In USA, it is the university extension system. 50 states of USA having 50 agricultural university, but they take care of. We have got huge multiplicity of organization. Some of them might have not been able to create their own space. However, they definitely doing some significant job. How can you link them with the client, the farmer per se? Slide change, please. I would say that, few of the things I have given usually in literature about their quality performance, about their, way, and, and then I will come in the next slide to show you how our perspective got changed. But the extension organization structure by and large remained the change, except during the last half a decade or during the decade. Dr. Sadamate is there. Under his leadership, the Atma and some kind of institutional arrangement, innovativeness in institutional arrangement took place. However, from 1952 till 2000, could be 10, we were continue to depend on same kind of extension organization in spite of change in demand, change in expectation, change in roles and responsibilities. Change, please. Hello, would you give your attention, please? Change, please. If we have a look at the I talked kind of agricultural scenario, can I speak a few things about the changing extension scenario? No. Hello. Previous slide. Don't talk too many people, please. Give attention, otherwise I lose time in the process. organizer would say, sir, 2 minutes more. So please. The kind of dimension of the problem surpasses the capacity of the of our extension or the organization. If you have a look at Africa, and my own experience of at least 12 African countries, then you will find, you will find whether it is East Africa or West Africa, there is not as such extension system. Few of the foreign funded projects, and those foreign funded projects are having some definite objective, kind of colonial, colonial agricultural system what we had in the pre-independence time. And then whatever their extension staff is there from the non-project area diverted to those agricultural project area. And because it is a time-bound project, the international organization wanted to get the benefit of that. It is they who have done this. By the end of the time, farmers remain as it is farmer. You will be amazed to know there are many, many African countries where ox plow is yet to be introduced. The villagization is taking place. To kind of extension from abroad and all that, nowhere applicable. That is why probably none of the African countries to get the benefit of so-called green revolution in their country. There are other, biophysical reasons are there. However, one of the important things is that there is no extension system per se, and therefore none of the benefit they could take about that. Next slide, please. I will say how the, there are many changes are there, many things we have inherited and continue to possess. One simple example I am taking, demonstration. I'm sure everybody in extension has, done some demonstration. The first line is that select a plot by the side of the road, and all those theory from National Demonstration Project. I will say that demonstration is a method 132 years old. And think it over, in 132 years, did we think anything in this country with 63 agricultural university having extension professional, if we put it together, it will be an army of extension personnel. How much we have done thinking, I'm not talking about basic or fundamental research, I'm not talking about strategic research, I'm not talking any kind of applied research. Did we think ever what is the applicability of demonstration, limitation, modification, what can be done? So taking one example, I am trying to explain some of these things. Basically, it was the father of demonstration whose name is C.M.N. Knapp. I am sure you have heard his name. And his basic slogan was that what a man hears he may doubt, what he sees he may possibly doubt, but what he does himself he cannot doubt. And this demonstration was started first in United States. Most efficient agricultural system ever known to mankind developed by the United States. A nation with 65% of its population engaged in farming in 1865 today has approximately 4% engaged in agriculture. The people who are the owner of land, they are considered to be first citizen of United States. If I say that I am a son of a farmer from United States, you will look at me up because I belong to the rich class. On the other hand, I am sure if I say that I am the son of a father from India, you will have a picture that my father is a rickety, pot-bellied, it's a round-belly, and that's a kind of distinction between the farmer of United States and our farmer. Except there are many changes are there. In 1885, considered this is now 2017, how many years exactly? 132 years back. Dr. C.M.N. Knapp, the first used demonstration as a means for influencing the adoption of new farming practices in Louisiana. Next slide. In 1902, it was boll weevil crisis of cotton, causing great loss to Texas cotton growers, and set the stage for launching Dr. Knapp's plan for cooperative demonstration work. This ultimately originated into cooperative extension work. In 1914, sparked by the great interest in the demonstration work and its effect on farmers, a congressional bill called Smith-Lever Act, which is the father for giving birth to land-grant college system. And I would say which is the father for starting agricultural university in the country. My whole point, what a powerful tools which was developed in 132 years back. But even the tool which was so powerful, how powerful changes needs to be made, I will be speaking on that. And I feel often that extension lagged behind in this process, not updating, upgrading the methodology to keep pace with the kind of emerging scenario of agriculture and emerging need of extension. The act I have spoken, that ultimately it is that act which could give birth to land grant college. Next slide, please. Today, if we have a look at, thank you. If we have a look at that, today's farmer, not dissemination alone, and not diffusion and adoption alone. Have a look at the network of farmers of today. Farmers to be linked with business, farmers to be linked with systems, farmers to be linked with research institutions, farmers with public administration, farmer weather, farmer at open market and global scale, and farmer with unlimited partner. If anything price goes up anywhere in the world, we are affected. And if the fertilizer price goes up anywhere, the question it is the kind of simple technology dissemination extension we started with. And unfortunate part, we have got many instances, we have the same hangover of continue of extension research, whatever we are doing. I will have a few slides what kind of emerging extension research. Then you will find the kind of research we are doing, how to a large extent redundant than the kind of extension research which we will need. Next slide, please. This is a new concept coming up than technology dissemination per se. It is the scaling up and scaling out. A successful extension strategy, a successful extension methodology should be able to scale up and scale out the technology. Could you teach me, please? Was that the problems are identified, solutions are found and tested, and target group adopts the technology or innovation. Scaling up could be both horizontal and vertical. Now, when we talk about how to link scaling up with the old theory of adoption, you will find that horizontal scaling up equal to scaling out geographical. You know, when we talk about about the horizontal spread of horizontal spread of technology, we use the word scaling out, and therefore horizontal scaling up, which is scaling out and which is adoption. Vertical scaling up is that what kind of institutional arrangement required simultaneously to sustain that, you know, continued adoption of technology, which is essentially vertical scaling up. I tried to explain that scaling out implies geographical spread of technology. This is the replication of adoption, more area to undercover. And scaling up requires, you know, you have to study the underlying principle of this spreading up, what kind of capacity building is required, and what kind of investment for institutionalization. More often you will find one even well-budgeted project is implemented. By the time the project is over, no trace of the impact, because the kind of vertical scaling up or institutionalization of the adoption process or developing the institutional arrangement to sustain that adoption diffusion process is not done. I'm sure you will kindly agree that in extension, we hardly have given any emphasis, forget about doing any kind of research on that. Next, please. Okay. One slide is, you know, somehow skipped. But the thing is that I have said that. Okay. The question is more important now because diffusion adoption based on uniformity. Now our kind of farmers, that uniformity is not there. What you know, vis-a-vis the place from which the diffusion adoption theory originated. I'm not meaning Rogers. There were Lion Barger. There were many authors of those days who spoke in one word, because in Indian context, high variability between the farmer's field and research result, response to improved crop management is less favorable than that the research station. Need for on-farm technology selection process, which is completely missing in our country, and therefore the kind of elements to be incorporated you know, over and above the dissemination process. I have listed a few. Technology adaptation to microenvironment diversity, suitability of types of trial. On-farm trial is not one uniform, universalized strategy. You will find what the West Asian Rice Development Association is doing, one ICAR, International Crop Research for Dryland Agriculture in Syria is doing. You will find what ICAR-CIWA ICAR-CIWA is doing, what IRI is doing. You will find many examples are there. So the kind of trial is required for establishing what kind of superiority of the technology. Research has not been done on that. And participation, can it be come back? Back. Back. Great. No. One more. Okay, one more. Yes, okay, okay, okay. I'm so poor in electronics. I was telling that what kind of types of trial, what kind of participation you require under what circumstances, how to reduce the time lag. You know, if you find plant breeders takes at least 8 years for standardization of a variety. Is that extension system is to wait for 8 years, or is there any methodology to be compatible with the technology generation process and where the time lag could be reduced? I have given some example of 3-year participatory varietal selection, expedite diffusion, mother-baby trial model, facilitating adoption of complex technology, hardware and software aspects of new technology, one emerging concept, dealing with portfolio of intervention. Many technologies are there where technology per se will not be adopted unless and otherwise a portfolio of processes is undertaken, and then some example of mismatch, how technology mismatch for the African countries. Next slide. It is a case of what is internationally called fit-fat-fit. The fit-fat-fit is a kind of decentralized process of extension. In this process, this was particularly done in ICAR-CIWA. Okay, you know, that could be a very wonderful example for us. All the ICAR-CIWA tried for a long time to see that the barley varieties developed by them should be adopted by the farmers in dryland areas of Syria. It never happened. Ultimately, the extension professional in that the institute, what they tried to do, that all varieties developed by ICAR-CIWA, you know, once you plant at a time on the farmer's field in several locations, as good as exhausting the technology of the institute at one go. Materials selected by the farmers are planted in second year in the field of several host farmers at each location, called farmers advanced trial. The material selected by them enters into farmers elite trial, and the total adoption process right from the technology released by the institute to adoption by the farmer is 3 years. I mean, not that concept of innovator, laggard, early majority, led majority, I think probably 1960s concept. I'm sure many of us are teaching also the same, not going for what kind of development took place over there. Another example of how the participatory plant breeding trial, during that time I was DDG. In fact, Extension Division and Crop Science Division, we took up the project together, that as soon as plant breeders trial is over, and once the farmer's trial is to be taken up, let that process be taken up by the Extension Division, by the KVKs. In that process, plant breeding material instantly goes to the farmer's field, and without any effort, many of the newly emerging varieties, they directly enter into the farmer's field. So this is one of the important part. Is that I was speaking? What? Okay. So ICAR, the International Crop Research for Dryland Agriculture, the, in this process, usually it takes 8 years. You know, by the time a variety is released by the plant breeder, it takes 8 years. But in this process, technology can go to the field after 3 years. So this is another important, see, I told usually 8 years. After there 2 years of trial to see the stabilization, I mean how that variety is stabilized. So after 10th year, the variety is to go to the farmer's field. And this is a methodology under which after 3 years that technology can go to the farmer's field. One of the important way to reduce the time lag between the technology's generation and adoption. What the West African Rice Development Association, you know that Indian rice or Asian rice, ICAR-CIWA, is not applicable for the African countries because the African rice is the Rhiza glaberrima. So the question is that the kind of technology developed for Asian rice, how those traits could be incorporated to African rice and how quickly it can go to the farmer's field. One of the example of that, and it is in 1996, Wardha, as I said, made significant breakthrough advances in plant breeding by developing interspecific hybrid. I said that ICAR-CIWA and ICAR glaberrima. What the researchers developed a 3-year, the important part is that a 3-year participatory varietal selection and breeding approach implemented in 17-member National Agricultural Research System. Now here, first year, second year, third year, I am explaining. First year, a centralized village plot identified with local farmers where a rice garden is established with about 60 upland and lowland rice varieties. You think it over, 60 varieties are going to the field at one go. I'm not so important, please. And then farmers visited the plot as frequently, but formal plant evaluation is held at 3 stages during the season. Second year, each farmer receives the varieties selected in the first year. See, it's a myth that whatever technology developed or so-called package of practices must be adopted by the farmer. We call adoption quotient, you know, percentage of practices adopted. It's a very funny thing. Now, why the hell farmers should adopt all your practices, irrespective of its applicability or not applicability? Now, in this case, all 60 varieties released, developed by Wardha was given to the farmer in one go by establishing a rice garden in each village. Farmers select their own particular variety in the second year. I'm making a mess. You know, first thing, a new diversity of varieties entered the locality. Observer villagers. Observer visit the field to record the performance indicator. And third year, technology demand is estimated based on the farmer's willingness to pay for seed varieties. Farmers' input confirm that their breeding goals were already consistent with the farmer needs. One of the probably, see, these are all deviation from the conventional demonstration, which is of 132 years old. Large number of improvement took place. However, there is one emerging concept of the hardware and software aspects of new technology. I was talking in the morning, Dr. Sauvik from Visva-Bharati University. I suppose he has been working on these aspects. It is useful to make use. Technology per se is hardware. Technology cannot move unless and otherwise kind of software support is given. The software support is the extension methodology. Each technology, I mean, if we want to call that extension subject a science, then each technology requires a different set of software. We often bother or confine ourselves about technology package of practices. We never bother about the extension package of practices for a particular technology. And we never bother about the composite package of practices of technology and extension methodology. See, therefore, the extension research required to go a long way to go if we really want to make any headway in that. This is one example of kind of composite technology. You have been often reading, you know, climate change, you know, that Arabian Sea fish is going towards Bay of Bengal fish, ice is melting, and sun is, you know, getting hotter. We will die one day. This universe. I mean, all those nonsense things. Many of the things, whatever cosmic reason, you and me, we cannot do anything. However, whatever man-made things, if we want to think of some of the technology, climate smart technology is a composite technology. Few of the things I have given, like what kind of weather mask packages, what type of water mask technology packages, what are the carbon smart technology package, nitrogen smart, energy smart, and ultimately the knowledge smart. I do not find any attempt. I was talking while coming here from the guest house with Dr. Sada Mate, who has been very intimately linked with FAO for doing something on climate resilient agriculture. The corporate house I am attached with, I was fortunate to develop some of the project proposal from some of the countries for climate resilient agriculture. Just have a look at that. Do you think that conventional diffusion adoption theory can do anything on that unless and otherwise I'm sorry. You know, if we, and in some agriculture situation could be 1, 2, 3 applicable. Some cases could be, you know, it's a different permutation and combination of climate smart technology. You have to identify, you have to see its technological feasibility. You have to see that what kind of institutional arrangement, because none of the single climate smart technology cannot be adopted by individual farmer. So think it over. Is there any extension research for going through or trying to overcome for diffusion of such kind of technology? Often we speak of on-farm trial. This is the one word we speak. And we say which on-farm trial is good or which on-farm trial is bad. Actually, teaching only confined to up to that. But I find that anything developed, invented, spoken in this world, some good quality must be there. So I, you know, try, try to find the analysis of that. You will find normally 4 types of on-farm trial are there. But which kind of trial, what is your focus for the farmer? Do you want to establish the biophysical response of a set of agricultural technology after characterizing the environment? The characterizing of characterizing one agricultural environment based on the agroecosystem properties methodology is not there in our country, except the Vice Chancellor of University of Sussex, Gordon Conway, except his book on agroecosystem properties for research and agroecosystem properties of development. We in this country, we have not done anything. And if in many times I asked, how do you make a distinction between one agroecosystem and another agroecosystem? Extension must be agroecosystem perspective. It is not an open-ended. It is not a demonstration, select a plot by the side of the road. These are all, very, very ordinary way, demeaning the extension science. I mean, with my short speech, I could show you how many kinds of deviation, modification, improvement, has taken place over 132 years. Now I have tried to 10 minutes. Yeah. I have tried to show that I won't explain because I have been warned. I have tried to explain that what exactly your purpose of on-farm trial. Do you want to establish the biophysical performance? Do you want to establish the profitability? It cannot come that one trial profitability is that, biophysical compatibility is that. It is there one wine for everybody in a party. Everybody has got the different choice, whether it is white wine or red wine, still wine or sparkling wine, desert wine, depending on that. So I try to explain on that. If we summarize so far whatever I have spoken, then we will find that up to in this schematic diagram we can do technology generation research system. Extension really starts from technology testing, technology adaptation, technology integration. Technology integration in by and large, in scaling up. I mean, if we want to use the old word, technology testing and adaptation, more of scaling out, and then ultimately field extension where technology dissemination. I am summarizing kind of extension research in this country. I mean, emphasis on that. 1950s to 60s, we were all thinking our farmers are ignorant. You will find all studies. Illiterates are idiots. Those who are small farmer, worthless. My point is that all studies are there, and I will compare myself, everything opposite to them. I am 100% sure if I am given that circumstances of a farmer, I will fail more than a farmer fails. Okay, so our 1950s and 70s and 80s, we started emphasizing on farm level constraints. All research you will find, irrigation is not there, input supply was not timely. All research paper you will find by and large all that. 1990s we started talking inappropriateness of technology, farmer participatory, all that. 2000 plus, we are talking farmers empowerment, farmers organization, farmer producer, more of vertical or scaling up or of process, quality production, quality reporting, organic certification, world gap certification. We have been talking on that. We must keep it in mind that our 85% small and marginal farmer, the typical farming characteristics, it's a kind of land on household economy interlinked, on farm, off farm interlinked, by and large diverse, complex on risk prone even within their system, predominance of household inputs, prevalence of traditional practices, multiple enterprise primarily for domestic needs, production system highly susceptible to stress and perturbation, dependence on family labor. You know, these are the typical characteristics of. I will talk now because I was told 10 minutes, I am sure 3 minutes over, 7 minutes more. Hopefully they will follow 7 minutes more. Every discipline has got 4 paradigm of research, sometimes 5 paradigm: basic and fundamental research, strategic research, applied research, adaptive research, sometimes we extend to on-farm research. You ask yourself, do we have same paradigm of research in agricultural extension? I mean, without going through the slides, I give you one example. Gene splitting technique is a basic or fundamental research. Identifying a dwarf gene, strategic research. Incorporating a dwarf gene for developing a dwarf variety, plant breeding, essentially applied research. All India coordinated research project on varietal trial is adaptive research. Then came that on-farm research under farmers management system, how that variety can perform without using, without emphasizing on the package of practices. So I have explained few of the example I am giving. Working out small farmers learning principles, it's a basic research. We are still today going for adult learning principles developed in United States. We have not developed anything on our own. How Indian farmers, they have got the learning principles. I'm sure I don't need to explain what is andragogy and pedagogy. And more often we speak about pedagogy in spite of the facts none of our 103 million farm families are baby farmers. They are all adult. So very basic principles of training we use is wrong, and we need to revamp, do lots of research work on that to develop on our training and learning system. You know, designing a training session based on experiential learning cycle is applied research. Then you will find that, you know, how to incorporate the experiential learning cycle in the kind of principles of Indian farmers learning. It's a strategic research. And then evaluation of the training session based on this adaptability to different farming environment after characterizing the farming environment would be a kind of adaptive research. You yourself assess whether we are, whether those are right or wrong. Identifying levels of capability of learning of farmers. We said capacity building. What is that? What level of capacity building? Do we want farmers to remember the names? Do we want the farmer to analyze soil situation versus his resource situation versus optimization of resources? Do we want the farmers to come to that level? Do we want our farmer to synthesize different kind of information and apply to his or her environment? I am sure what you are sure. Okay, and then applied research. I have given many examples. One of the example is that we say that our complex, diverse, response agriculture. What research we have done in order to characterize based on complexity, based on diversity, and based on risk prowess of the farming environment. I am running through, examples are given. We have not worked what can be called an ideal extension system. Globally, there are ISO 900 specified extension system. Did we do any research on that what could be an ISO specified extension in Indian environment, Indian system, depending on different kind of agroecological system. Some of the, in gender, I have given cross-cultural studies in extent of gender implication in different farming systems. We have got one findings across that is not applicable everywhere. Some of the methodology when we call the research, what is called production gap, how to qualify the production gap, I have given, explain all that. And then another important part that can we the extension professional argue with the policy maker that the extension system I am recommending, the return over this extension is this. And I take the guarantee that if my extension package of practices is adopted, the return will be this. Do we have a single study to place ourselves in that kind of footing as an authority of extension? So I have spoken how to calculate the return over the extension, not merely impact study. None of the so-called impact study is really impact study. If we have a look at the kind of impact study manual of FAO, and recently 16 volumes book on FAO, if any of you have gone through. Examples of ROI, focus on mismatch in African agriculture, and to conclude, I will hopefully last one or two. Extension research needs to be taken, from the micro level to institutional restructuring, management of extension programming, models of research extension, civil society linkage. We often say linkage. Everybody says linkage. Now, what is the mechanism of linkage? Can we have a package of practices for a definite program, a definite linkage package? My point is that subject is to be as precision as science is. or as precision or any other science subject is. Capacity building, I told. Bloom's taxonomy, Bloom's has done. Now, why one more Bloom was not born in our country? Hopefully, whosoever acquainted with the Bloom's taxonomy, we have not given birth to another Bloom in our country. Mainstreaming gender implication in agriculture, I am talking in Women in the Institute, overall sustainability of agriculture extension, need for discipline to program mode, piecemeal to system approach, open-ended to focus technological intervention, take it or leave it to demand-led extension approach, integration of biophysical and socio-economic, not socio-economic alone, institute to inter-institute mode of technology assessment and refinement, and therefore requirement research extension, that was the old, that research extension linkage. Can we move away from research extension to research, farmer extension and civil society? It is important to keep it in mind that farmers are not isolated individuals, but members of social networks, that these networks can play an important role in the diffusion of information technology. I must thank you for sparing time and many of my wild talks, but I thought that this may be useful and thought-provoking. I must wish you a very wonderful time next 3 days. Thank you very much. Okay.
Sir, thank you very much for an enlightened presentation. In fact, you dwelt upon the history of extension, the evolution, how it has evolved over 130-40 years during, and also the challenges it faced in between. Now, what are the perspective? You are given a new perspective. How should look at extension, particularly in the context of globalization? And lastly, you have flagged up many issues, and instead of only research and extension, there should be the farmers in between, research, that is extension, how it can be linked to civil society. Thank you very much, sir, because we have really gained a lot. I may share a little bit thing, particularly the research continuum, sir, dwelt, that is basic, strategic, applied and adaptive research. Really, it was very tough for us to develop while developing the Vision 2025 plan. And I think we got insights and lessons from sir, and finally could make it. Thank you very much, sir, for a nice presentation. Thank you. I think with this, we conclude the presentation. We'll move to the next item. May I invite Dr. G. Kumar.
Here, I am so much glad and so much grateful to all our dignitaries that they have found time to be here. And sir, because of all your benign presence, this particular event has become a very wonderful event, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for coming, taking so much of pain. I know some of you were waiting in the, oh my God, with the H.K. Das is going to really beat me. So you had some problem in coming, so kindly excuse. We all know there are teething troubles. Usko bahar le jaiye. We know there are all teething troubles, but we have begun. So now I'll try to bring to your notice the software that we are going to use throughout the session. And you can see we have here some of the banners here. So the, young friends, you can go to any of the browsers, okay, and you type slido.com. Please do it right now. Go to your browser and type slido.com. Once you do that, then you have to enter the code IEC. After the hashtag, you have to enter the code IEC 2018. Okay? Yeah. So once you do that, then you will be in the session and you can put any of the questions. Santosh, can we have the question, please? Already some few questions have come of Dr. Das sir's presentation. Just go to admin. Sir, this is the software we are using, and the best part of this software is from anywhere in the world people can connect to us, they can send their questions and the questions can be answered from here. And second is that we are web streaming. The cameras that you are seeing is not to show me on the screen. Okay, it is basically we are doing the web streaming. All of you are there on the internet through YouTube. You can share, anybody can see. So please tell your friends, your teachers, your other persons who are there, whom you know it in the country or in other countries, to go to the YouTube, search for International Extension Congress, and they will get the link there. Otherwise, they can go to the slido.com, and there also web streaming is going on. So people who could not make it can do it. And Pathak sir, let me tell you, in NRRI, the screen that is there in the gate, already whatever is going on is we are having live there. People are seeing there, sir. So let us, in the new of extension, some new horizons we have tried to open up, okay, and go about it. So is it there? Okay, so now this is the live streaming that you can see. Of course, here you will be seeing some 5 or 2 seconds gap, but those who are seeing may not be knowing whether Dr. Kumar has raised his hand now or after 5 seconds. So there won't be any problem. I don't want this, I want Slido, please. Yeah, so put it to the present view. Put it to the present view. Santosh, you have to accept the questions. Click. Click all the things. Whether they are correct or not, just click. And go to the present view. Yeah. Sir, Dr. Das sir, these are the questions for you. Can I have a mic for Dr. Das? Hand mic. Hand mic for Dr. Das, please. Okay, this is what I wanted to introduce. Thank you so much, and sir will answer these questions briefly, sir. And then we are going to have a tea break. Thank you very much.
See, first is that, you know, about the ICT. Very basic ICT is the, you know, discovery of www. It was approximately 40 years back when the scientists were conducting an experiment in high energy physics lab in Switzerland. They found a huge wave of energy, and they quantified that energy in terms of that 3 times of the energy wave of the Pacific Ocean. So the original name of www was 3W or W3, and ultimately we, you know, put it in www. Never before one can think, including Google, which developed the architecture of www, even they couldn't think that one day this will take over the world. The power is that Google alone hosts approximately 20 billion pages. 2 million pages are added every day. And I have surveyed once that approximately 3 to 4,000 pages in agriculture added every day. In other words, if I have not studied anything yesterday, I am 3,000 pages backward. This is the power of, your internet. ICT, information communication technology, by simplest definition, is the computer and its network. I mean, in a very really IT specialist language, that is common extension specialist language. You will find approximately 200 experimentation on agriculture, allied sector, and other social aspects. What
Sir.
role it can play? Give one example, then you know the whole gamut of role what it can play. I was traveling in Tamil Nadu, and in a tiled house, I saw suddenly there is a big crowd. I mean, not a very big crowd. 20, 25 people are in the queue, including few goats are in the queue. Goats, you know. And then I got down from the car to see that what has happened. It's a computer in one house, cord that technology being used so that you don't require direct internet connection. In Tamil Nadu, what advantage is that at least one doctor is available in all veterinary colleges and one doctor is available in all medical colleges. I will talk about the goat first. The goat was having some ulcer. Goat was brought near the computer. Computer was having the web camera. The mouth was open. Photograph was taken. Instantly transmitted to Madras Veterinary College. Prescription came automatically in English, translated in Tamil. Printout was given 3 rupees. Now, is that not enough of what ICT can play their role in the field level? In extension, the entire reserve of information can be documented based on characterization basis. And you know how it can be documented. It's a model I developed for FAO, and I presented also in Bangkok. I mean, that's a very detailed thing. But however, this information can be easily communicated through information communication.
Sir, I would like another thing, sir. Answer, and it will go to everybody. For the thing I have asked, and second, Dr. Mahesh Chandra is either how many kind of sir. If you are not asking, I will always so sir, through the Slido, it's second. And one more I want to tell you, young friends, that you need not type all the questions. You can just like also. Like questions. Question is asked that you can see here that abstract was in second, but some up with reference. So our question so that it answered by our words. Thank you much. And to anything.
Okay, thank you very much. Being exposed to what technology I think the innovation will be everywhere, and without waste we can break for tea. We can break for tea. After coming back, we'll have a technical session 1. Now, I am to announce the session will be moderated by Dr. So I asked him to be ready. We have a panelist, Balamati, Alex, Dr. Lata Devi, Dr. B. Sonta from. I request the panelists and the moderator to be ready after tea break. 15 minutes tea break, please.
hello, 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 hello,